That's right. If you take a young woman with two beautiful children and you put her on a bus and it ends up on the front page of every newspaper, it makes it a lot harder.
So yes to mass deportation even of women and children.
Wow, we need to break down this clip of Trump being asked if his deportation plan includes putting women and children on buses and sending them to mass detention camps before he inevitably deports them. And his answer is so unhinged that I think it even shocks the interviewer asking the questions. He sounds low energy, he sounds old throughout this clip, and with 45 days to go until the election, we don't have a lot of time to waste. So let's jump right in. All that I ask is that you leave a like and make sure you subscribe. We are so close to 500K. So to lay some of the groundwork, we talk about this plan that MAGA Republicans and Trump have floated for a while now to deport 11 million or 15 million or 20 million illegal immigrants. The number changes every single day, and there are a lot of problems with this that we can point out. Number one, how do you do that without accidentally deporting American citizens in the process, which has happened before? Two, how do you do that without tanking the American economy, which relies largely on immigrant labor? I mean, it's the backbone of the American economy. Number three, how do you do that without tearing families apart? Oh wait, Trump says he wants to in this clip. And number four, how do you do that without it getting bloody? Inevitably, if police forces are rounding up immigrants, well-meaning, hard-working families, it will get bloody. Wait, Trump has said himself that it will get bloody. Watch this clip to lay the groundwork.
Getting them out will be a bloody story. Should have never been allowed to come into our country. If you come back, you will be executed. You will be killed immediately. Not going to be easy, but we'll do it.
Fact check. What you just heard him say, the former president, current Republican nominee, is requesting an illegal order. So those are the kind of orders that, if issued, are still immediately illegal. There is no immediate kill policy allowed. U.S. officials take an oath to the Constitution, not to any president, even Donald Trump and whatever he thinks he can order, even if he's reelected. U.S. officials would have an obligation to resist that kind of unlawful order. And separately, groups might sue to try to get a court injunction preventing anyone from just doing immediate executions on the border. And this is not just me as a lawyer turned news anchor reminding you of some technicalities. We have precedents. Judges swiftly halted Trump's immigration bans because they were found to be likely to be unlawful. So they were halted pending further court review, which means even though he said do it, everyone who follows the Constitution, people in law enforcement, DHS, said no. And by the way, that travel ban did not involve something as extreme as people being, quote, killed immediately.
Absolutely, and the reason why Trump keeps pushing his rhetoric on immigration further and further is because that's all he has to run on. Like he said, he has concepts of a plan when it comes to everything else, even when it comes to immigration. His plan is terrible, but he's been using this bombastic, divisive rhetoric ever since he entered American politics in 2012, but especially in 2016 when he began to call immigrants rapists, murderers, thieves, saying that some of them may be good people. Trump has been planting this seed for a while, and now he's gone full unhinged mode. And the clip that I'm about to play, somebody who's winning does not say this. This is the rhetoric of a losing campaign, which was further proven today with this new CBS poll. Harris shows some gains and economic views brighten a bit, a CBS News poll shows, and I think this truly has Trump sweating. I am a nerd for the polls, and when it comes to national polling, VP Harris is up by a comfortable 4 points. Now, it should be more, but we'll take it. And when it comes to battleground states, VP Harris has crossed the 51% threshold. That means she could comfortably win every battleground state. And the choice for president, if you think the economy is good, is VP Harris overwhelmingly. And this comes at a time when interest rates have been lowered. This comes at a time when inflation is lowering. The choice for president, if economy is a major factor. Now, 47% of people pick VP Harris, which is up 4% from August. So it is slowly improving. The perceptions of the U.S. economy are slowly improving. They were 35% good in August. Now they're 39% good. So people are starting to think that the economy is improving, and all numbers do say that, but of course the numbers don't map onto people's lived experiences. It totally hurts when things get more expensive at the gas station or at the grocery store. I feel it too, absolutely. Even when I look at the numbers that say, hey, we have the lowest inflation in the world, that doesn't make me feel better. So I think many Americans are coming from that frame of reference, and they don't understand that Biden can't directly control prices, or Kamala can't directly control oil prices. So these polls are looking good, and this brings us to this clip today where Trump uses maybe the most disgusting rhetoric we have seen yet. I mean, he said a lot of things, but let's listen to what Trump has to say about beautiful children and putting them on buses.
You've talked about a mass deportation program. How is that practically possible? Because a lot of the millions of people have had children here who are American citizens. And don't you think the first time there is an image on television of a family tearfully being told to board a bus, that whole program would end?
That's right. If you take a young woman with two beautiful children and you put her on a bus and it ends up on the front page of every newspaper, it makes it a lot harder.
So yes to mass deportation even of women and children.
So we're going to look at it very closely. The way you phrase it is exactly right. You put one wrong person onto a bus or onto an airplane, and your radical left lunatics will try and make it sound like the worst thing that's ever happened.
Lord have mercy, the radical left lunatics who don't want women and children to be put into mass detention camps, the radical left lunatics who just want health care for everybody and want everybody to have an equal opportunity in America. There's so many different directions I could go with this, but I just want to start off by saying the United States was genuinely built off the sweat of immigrants, people moving here during the Industrial Revolution, or people being forced here even before that. So everything that Trump and J.D. Vance say about immigrants, it's the antithesis of what America should stand for, and J.D. Vance himself understands that. We'll get to that later. But secondly, when it comes to this clip in particular, Trump doesn't even care about the safety or the well-being of these families. He cares about the optics. How would it optically look if you put, quote, a young woman with two beautiful children and you put them on a bus? That makes it a lot harder. He only cares that it makes it harder to deport more people en masse. And as we know, Trump has no problem saying it's going to get bloody. And Trump has no problem demonizing immigrants who just come here for a better life. I also love this article that reads, J.D. Vance got a former professor to delete a blog post that Vance wrote in 2012 attacking the GOP over its anti-immigrant rhetoric. And I love this article for a few reasons. Number one, it reaffirms our priors about J.D. Vance being a flip-flopper on every issue, but it also shows us that we're right on immigration and J.D. Vance knows it. A week after President Obama won re-election in 2012, J.D. Vance, who was then a law student at Yale, wrote a blog post criticizing the Republican Party for being, quote, openly hostile to non-whites and, quote, alienating blacks, Latinos, and the youth. 4 years later, as Vance considered a career in GOP politics, he asked a former college professor to delete that article, to completely delete the blog post, which was titled, quote, a blueprint for the GOP. Quote, a significant portion of Republican immigration policy centers on the possibility of deporting 12 million people, Vance wrote. Think about it. We conservatives rightly mistrust the government to efficiently administer business loans and regulate our food supply, yet we allegedly believe that we can deport millions of unregistered aliens, J.D. Vance says. The notion fails to pass the laugh test. The same can be said for too much of the party's platform. So J.D. Vance is poking holes in Donald Trump's policy a decade before it became Trump's policy. He says that this idea they're going to deport a massive amount of immigrants fails to pass the laugh test. He says that they can't trust the government to do this. How is it even possible? 12 years later, as former President Trump's running mate, Vance espouses many of the same anti-immigrant postures that he criticized back in 2012 as a 28-year-old law school student. So, was J.D. Vance smarter as a 28-year-old and he somehow declined as a 40-year-old, or is J.D. Vance grifting his way to the top? I think it is the latter. Clearly, J.D. Vance even says he will create stories. J.D. Vance even hurts his own hometown by making up conspiracy theories about Haitian immigrants. Asked on Sunday about his previous criticism of Trump's immigration posture, Vance argued Trump's immigration rhetoric was actually the reason he changed from a Trump critic to a supporter. Yeah, right, that is also very, very laughable. And I want to end this video by showing you probably the most deranged moment of the past month from Trump. Actually, he's had a lot of deranged moments, so I won't say that, but just watch this one more time.
And don't you think the first time there is an image on television of a family tearfully being told to board a bus, that whole program would end?
That's right. If you take a young woman with two beautiful children and you put her on a bus and it ends up on the front page of every newspaper. It makes it a lot harder.
So he's not morally against it at all. He actually wants to do it, but he's talking about the practicality of executing a mass deportation program while the optics of it look very authoritarian. And what I'm guessing is that it's going to necessitate him being surrounded by loyalists at the top of the military, the top of the DOJ, the top of the FBI, people who will have his back at every turn. And this isn't a conspiracy theory. Trump loves loyalty. He only picked J.D. Vance because J.D. Vance is loyal. So the only way Trump will be able to execute this program is if he has loyalists around him. And I'll leave you with that. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, hit that subscribe button, drop a blue heart. We are so close to 500K, so please double check to make sure you're subscribed to the channel. People think they are, but they're not. Have a great day and peace out.